Okay, violation coaching warning, Mrs. Williams.
I didn't get coaching. I didn't get coaching. You need to make an announcement that I didn't get coaching. I don't cheat. I didn't get coaching. How can you say that? You owe me an apology. You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her and I've never cheated. And you owe me an apology.
For calling you a thief.
Oh my God. And that's not right. This is not fair. This has happened to me too many times. This is not fair. This is not fair. But to give me a point to lose a game for what we're saying, that is not fair. I mean, it's really not.
Yeah. She called me.
Right. But you know how many other men do things that are I don't think they do much worse than that. This is not fair. There's a lot of men out here that have said a lot of things because they're men. That doesn't happen to them. Okay?
And now, our feature presentation.
It's the same donut, man.
Reality, captured in user-friendly symbols and processed for understanding.
Talk about a customer I just had, and this is I want to highlight this kind of dirtbag behavior. So this guy comes in, old guy, boomer as usual. Basically, I'm called up there because he has a complaint about the pharmacy, and he's saying that the people in the back in the pharmacy won't give him information about his wife. Because apparently her doctor called in 6 prescriptions according to him, for no reason. And I don't know how true that is. You never know what's the truth with people like this. But long story short, the people in the pharmacy won't give him the information because it's his wife, not him. Like, she's the client. He's not our client. We're dealing with, when it comes to things like that, in order to find out who the doctor was or whoever called in the prescriptions, it has to be the person who calls in. It has to be the person, like it has to be the client, because of privacy. And I explained all this to him, and he's standing there pretending like he don't understand, because he just wants his way, okay? When people say shit like that, they're just trying to get their way. And there's a reason I know this, because he starts getting into about how his wife might not be around in the next couple of days, implying that she's gonna pass away or something like that. And I don't believe that shit either. And there's a reason for that, because right before that, he's hemming and hawing about how he can take his prescriptions to Walmart and that he chose us over Walmart and blah, blah, blah. That's how I know he's full of shit, because he's going through the laundry list of whatever bullshit he can say to get his way. This is just how people are. And the reason I call him a fucking scumbag is because, let's just say, for instance, his wife is really dying, okay? If he's using his wife to try to get his way, that makes him a scumbag. And let's say, for instance, he's lying completely about what his wife's going through. That still makes him a scumbag, because that's even worse. Like, that's gonna change our policy. And I explained to him, like, look, if this situation was reversed, if it was, say, for instance, your wife trying to get information about your prescriptions and your data, we wouldn't give it to her. That's just the way it is. And I asked him, I was like, look, you either need to get her to call us or have power of attorney. Meaning, if she's truly dying, he needs to get power of attorney. All right, that's the way it works. So there's that. I just want to get that off my chest. You got to watch out for people, especially when people are going through these lists. Let's say, like, I immediately caught the Walmart thing, and he went right into how his wife is dying. So he's going through a laundry list of bullshit to try to get his way. And he wasn't going to get his way, especially not with me, because I already know what he's doing. I already know what he's about. So there's that. And I want to talk about, and that this is going to lead me into talking about this as well, which is this idea of making excuses, using other people as excuses, or other people's ailments or tragedies as an excuse. And you're going to see this a lot. You're going to see this a lot with mothers and their children. Where, the thing, I remember when, I think it was Serena Williams, a couple of years ago. This was when I first kind of noticed this behavior. There's this behavior. All right, guys, I guess I'm going to eat. I'm going to eat and talk again. I'm sorry to do this to y'all, but I need to eat something. And I'm on a 30-minute break, and I want to talk about this. So Serena Williams, back when she had her child, a couple of years ago, whenever that was. And she went right back into playing tennis again, which is really dumb, for the reasons y'all already know. But just to reiterate this point, almost the whole point of my channel a lot of times is how mothers need to be in the children's lives, especially at these really, really delicate ages. A newborn, right? This is a delicate age. Those first 3 or 4 years, when they're learning about the reality, right? They're learning about how the world works, what this world's about. The child comes into the world crying because they didn't want to be put into this school, into this mess. So Serena Williams, that stupid bitch, immediately goes back into playing tennis, right? And she gets into an altercation with the coach, one of the coaches. Not the coaches, referees. And I don't remember the details of why she got in trouble, or why she got like a penalty against her. But when it happened, it was a male referee, okay? So that was part of the issue too, because how dare a man tell her how to do something, They called it sexism, they called it racism, they called it all this bullshit. So she screams out to him, "I'm a mother, blah, blah, blah." And that's when I started realizing how a lot of these mothers will put up the child in front of them as a shield. They'll use this idea of being a mother and having a child as this kind of, like I said, a shield. Like, imagine the mother picking up the baby, putting right in front of them as a sacrifice. This is a sacrifice, in my opinion. This is the way I view it. Okay? And this is really important, guys. It doesn't matter what it is. Like with this man and his stupid little prescription thing with his wife. Like, he's putting his wife in front of himself as a metaphysical shield, as an excuse, right? And I want you to be aware of this when y'all do this, is to don't ever put somebody else in front of you as an excuse or a shield or whatever. And I'm gonna give you an example of something I didn't do but was tempted to do. Is when my brother died, however so many years ago. So when my brother passed away, I remember the day I came back to work, and I was working overnights, and I was still feeling it, dude, because I wasn't like broken up about it. Like, I wasn't crying, bawling, but that feeling of grief was still there. So I didn't perform as well as I could, and I didn't get something done. I don't remember specifically what it was, but the manager I had at the time had a huge problem with me not doing this thing. Like I said, I don't remember exactly what it was. And in the back of my mind, he was in the office asking me what was going on. Why didn't you do this thing? And I knew he was going to write me up. I just knew it. That's like my first write-up in like years. And I told myself, do not use your brother. Do not mention your brother. Don't mention that you're sad. Don't mention that you're depressed. Don't do any of that. Because it's like I said, it's like I would be sacrificing my brother again, like putting him on a cross, or I can put it this way, like betraying the light within me, because there's a light within me, and I would be putting Jesus on the cross again. I would let that, it would be like letting the Judas take over, the betrayer, right? Because there's a little Judas in all of us. I've talked about this before, to call back to a previous video, where I would be allowing Judas to betray Jesus again, betray the light within me. So I told myself, now then, I didn't contextualize this at the time like this, but it makes total sense thinking back on it, why I didn't do it. And I'm not saying I'm this great person for doing it this way. I got in trouble, okay? I got in trouble, I got written up, and I just dealt with the consequences, and I did not, for once, blame my brother or blame my depression or any of that. I just took the hit. And when he was in the office kind of dressing me down, I stayed silent. I was quiet. Anytime I felt the urge to talk about what happened to my brother, I stayed silent. Even though that probably would have got me off the hook, because my manager at the time, I think he had a brother that passed away like a few years back. And here's the thing though, he knew this. He knew that I was going through this, which was weird to me. But that dude, I don't know, he had it in for me for some reason. I'm not sure what his deal was with me. To this day, I still don't know. He liked to pretend he was my friend sometimes, and I didn't resonate with this dude, okay? I didn't trust him, and he just didn't like me. Probably because I didn't kiss his ass, but I don't know what his deal was. Him and I just didn't get along. Maybe it's his astrological sign or something, and we just opposites. I don't fucking know. But I knew the moment I would have used my brother as an excuse, or if I would have said my depression or whatever, my anxiety, you know, that bullshit. I knew the moment I would have done that, I would have betrayed myself, and I didn't want that. So I just stayed silent and I took the write-up. It's okay, whatever. Fucking think what you want. He's gonna think of what he wants of me anyway. So to get back to this asshole boomer who put his wife in front of him, right? This is all metaphysical, guys. Every action, everything we do in this world, in this realm, is spiritual. All right? The whole point of my channel was this very idea. And this guy's a dirtbag. The guy I had to deal with is an absolute fucking dirtbag for using his wife in that way. And he's in hell. Like, he's literally metaphysically, spiritually in hell right now, because he was willing to sacrifice his wife just to get his way. And this is the boomer mentality, okay? Now, this is a mentality of a lot of people, right? But I'm telling you, it comes from this boomer generation. It came from the generation before that, It's all in the Bible, guys. All of these are warnings. All this bullshit in the Bible is a warning. Now, it would have been different, you know? Let's give an example of my situation that I just talked about, where I refused to sacrifice my brother. I refused to sacrifice Jesus again, you know? I didn't let that Judas come out. I kept Judas in check. It's different, you know? It would have been different to say if I was sick. If I was sick, and say, look, I had the flu, I came to work anyway, which has happened before. It's like I had the flu or something. Maybe not the flu, but I've worked sick before, and I tell my manager after the fact, look, I wasn't feeling it all day. I came to work anyway. You're going to have to give me a break. And if you write me up, I'm not signing it, essentially. That's different, guys. Okay, because if you're not... Look, just don't sacrifice other people, is what I'm saying, for your agendas. Because it is an agenda. This man had an agenda. He had a laundry list of bullshit he was going to say to try to get his way. And the very fact that he tried to get empathy from me, what does he expect me to say? What does he want me to say? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And fuck your wife, dude. Y'all may think I'm an asshole for talking like this, but it's like, fuck your wife, man. You don't deserve her. You're a scumbag. I learned all about that guy's character in the 5-minute conversation we had. Isn't that amazing? Pay attention, guys. Pay attention to people. Pay attention to conversations. I'm not passing judgment. I'm literally going off of what he said and what his implications were. It's okay if y'all think I'm a jerk. But when I say fuck his wife, I don't mean like, you know, I don't give a fuck that she's dying. It's like, okay, like, she's dying, man. She's gonna see what comes next, you know? When I say fuck his wife, I mean, like, you know, just, how dare you? Like, well, you brought your dying wife up trying to get your way for this little thing, man. If you're willing to sacrifice your wife about this one tiny thing, what are you gonna do when it comes to the bigger things? That's disturbing to me, y'all. This is what fucking gets to me about it. This is what pisses me off about it. What are these people willing to sacrifice for the bigger things? You know, for their soul. What are they willing to sacrifice for their own souls? What are they willing to sacrifice? Tell me. You tell me. I want you to think about this. He's willing to throw his wife down and let a fucking freight train run over her just because he wants this little bit of information that don't even fucking matter. She's gonna be dead in a few days anyway. Who gives a fuck? If he's willing to sacrifice her for that, what is he willing to sacrifice for other things? And that's what bothers me about it. This is what chaps my ass about that situation, because he's just a fucking asshole. And this is the thing, though. He wasn't mean. He wasn't a mean person. Like, I'm not affected by... He wasn't rude. He was just saying he didn't understand. He copped a little attitude, okay? But what I'm saying is, I'm getting pissed off because I think about stuff like that. I don't give a fuck how... Like I said, he wasn't that bad. I've had worse. That little situation didn't bother me at all. It's when you start realizing, like, when you really start thinking about it. I'm gonna re-emphasize this point. If he's willing to throw his wife under the bus for this little bitty thing, okay, that don't matter. He wants to know. He's willing to throw her under the bus because he wants to know who called in these prescriptions for her. Like it matters. If she's gonna die in a few days, dude, why does it matter? You don't have to pay for the prescriptions. The only thing I can really see him being upset about is maybe the insurance going up or the insurance people giving him a hard time about something. Maybe. That's a maybe. But this is small. This is very small shit. Like, why does it matter so much, dude? Just refuse the scripts and move on. And I don't know. Maybe he wanted to be big nuts. He wanted to be the big bad husband, right? Maybe that was it. But it's like, pick your battles, dude. Pick your battles a little better than this. Please pick your battles better than this, because this can't be the thing that that gets you to call the manager. You know, that's crazy to me. Surely there's bigger problems. If your wife is really dying, surely there's better things to talk about or to complain about. God damn. This is crazy, guys. People are nuts. People are fucking dirtbags, man. I'm not saying I don't love them. I'm just saying we got to open our eyes a little bit. We got to pick our battles a little better. Pick y'all's battles a little better, y'all. This goes for everybody. Testing. Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? Decided to do another recording. A lot on my mind lately. But I'm gonna start with this, see how it goes. So I got through having a very interesting conversation with an employee of mine. Not an employee of mine, what's it called? A coworker. And I've talked about her before, in that video where I talk about feces culture with the Harley Quinn thumbnail. She brought up, she's the same girl who brought up Happy Tree Friends and all that. And today, I don't know what it was. We got into a conversation about autism, like having autism or being what's it called, neurotypical or whatever it's called. And she's very obviously has some kind of autism or Asperger's or something like that. But she's learned how to be high functioning, like kind of like me. She learned. Her and I were talking about this. Like, we learned how to mask at a very young age. And she made me realize that like girls with autism have a lot less means of masking their issues or their supposed issues, right, according to the fucking normies. And like she gets bullied, especially with our last manager. She talked about our last manager, which was a guy, a black guy, but about my age. I think he's like 4 years older than me. I think that makes him a millennial. He acts more like a Gen Xer the more I think about it. And I know that's weird to say it like that, but without getting into details, he acted more like a Gen Xer to me. So I think he might have been Gen X, because I think I'm an older millennial, quote unquote, like on the older spectrum. I'm like borderline Gen X. And kind of off topic here, but my daughter's gonna have a very interesting my daughter's going to have very interesting relationships with people because she's borderline Gen X, Gen Alpha. Not Gen X, what's it called? Gen Alpha and Gen Z, Zoomer. She's a Zoomer, but she's right on the edge of Gen Alpha. So she's going to find herself getting along with Alphas and Gen Zers just for that reason, because I was like that in high school. Like I got along way more with the older kids than I did with my own classmates, because I didn't get along with my classmates at all, like zero. I had like maybe one friend, and the word friend is in quotes because it was really just a relationship based on like material, like video games, which is fine, right? Like I mean, you're gonna find out as you're getting older that most of your relationships are based on material, based on the physical, and you're going to find that out with your spouses or your girlfriends or boyfriends, and that's just the way the world works. It's very rare that you'll meet somebody that you kind of vibe with on a metaphysical level, right? But that's besides the point. So she got into it about how she tends to be like the target of, just to put it simply, bullying. And it's not really, like, it could be worse, right? It's not really bullying. It's more like being picked on, you know, when your coworkers are just, especially anybody out there who's kind of on the autism spectrum, like the people around you, like the coworkers or even your own family around you, especially the family around you, just know that something's wrong with you, right? And to me, that's more of an animalistic kind of instinct thing to kind of point out the weakest link. And if you have somebody, let's say in your family, who is acting neurotypical, like they're going to be singled out, like most definitely, like 100% of the time they're going to be singled out. And a lot of times I think these people like me, maybe even people like you, and especially people like this girl, like they get singled out by their family as a black sheep. And I've talked about black sheep lately. I'm probably going to be talking about the black sheep thing a lot more because I think it's super important to kind of recognize this thing with our blood relatives, right? There's a better word for blood relatives. I can't remember what. I want to start using that other phrase, but I can't remember what it is, so it must not be that important. But anyway, so we're kind of talking about that, and I talked about I was telling her about my experience with school and junior high school, you know, elementary all the way down to elementary. I was kind of singled out and bullied by everyone else, probably up until like the 11th and 12th grade when I kind of filled into my body, you know what I mean? So I was like a bigger guy, like especially in little Hispanic school. Like I was only 5'6", but I was actually one of the taller Hispanics because, you know, Hispanics are usually shorter, usually 5'2". The women, the girls especially, are like 5 foot, 5'1", etc. So being 5'6", which isn't really tall, you know, but I was one of the taller dudes. I had wide shoulders, and I worked out. You know, I did weight training on my own. I never joined powerlifting or anything like that, even though I almost did. But you know, it got to the point where they stopped bullying me because I was a bigger dude, and they had these it's always funny because a lot of the guys in my class had this conception that I knew how to fight, like this preconceived notion that I knew how to fight, which I didn't. Like, I'm not a fighter, guys. Like, if I got into a fight, I would try to use my words first, and if it got down to, you know, hitting each other with fists, I would probably use a weapon and probably end up hurting somebody really bad. And that kind of worries me sometimes, because it's like if I really get into a fight with somebody, it's probably not going to be pretty on their end, just because I'm going to be more prone to want to hurt them as badly as possible to get them off me. You know what I mean? But I'm not a violent person, but I can just already tell you that's the way it's going to go down if I actually get into a fight with somebody. And like I said, that's worrisome to some extent. But anyway, like the guys in my class had this preconceived notion that I was a fighter. I don't know where they got that from. I never got into fights in high school or anything like that. But they left me alone. Like around 11th, 12th grade, the guys in my class left me alone, and I wasn't hanging out with them anyway because I thought they were a bunch of fucking assholes, which they were. They're just kids, right? For the most part, kids are assholes, okay? But I didn't want to be around them. Like I didn't like being around the people in my own class. I hung out with people that are either a grade above me or a grade below me, and that was it. I really got along with the guys, with the students, whatever you want to call them, the kids that were a grade below me, and they seemed pretty cool. So I would always hang out with them. I think they're just happy to be around an older kid. You know what I mean? But I didn't know that at the time. I just thought like, oh, they're accepting me and they like me and they talk to me without judging me. It's like, well, I'm gonna hang out with them. Like, why would I want to be around people that are always fucking, you know, judging me and shit? It's that simple. So I was kind of talking about that with her, and I basically said nowadays when it comes to autism as an adult, right? The masking part, like, it's a lot easier. I realized today that it's a lot easier for guys to mask than it is for girls, because I talked about in a previous video, a few videos back, I talked about how the cashier that I was telling about warning about Mama's Boys. She thinks I am the way I am because I'm a father, right? And I just let it be. I just let her think that because it's just the easiest thing. And I told this girl that I was just having a conversation with. I was like, I let her. Swear to God. Here's a dog pooping. Anyway, I told this girl, I let her know. Well, I let her think that this I can mask it with stoicism. I can mask it with this excuse of, oh, I'm a father, right? It's just easier that way, and that's not really the reason the way I am the way I am. I am the way I am. I am the way I am just because I am. You know what I mean? Can't really help that, but it's easier to just let people think that it's because I'm a dad, or it's because I'm stoic, or it's because I'm a tough guy, or it's because I know how to fight, or something like that. It's just easier to let people think that. You know what I mean? Because people are gonna think whatever they want about you anyway. I've talked about that plenty of times on this channel. Golly, it's like you let them think what they want to think, and they're gonna project all this nonsense onto you, and you're honestly better off just letting them project. They're gonna do it anyway, so fuck it. But like I said, it made me realize, like today I realized that girls with autism, especially this coworker of mine, she doesn't have the benefit of having that excuse of being stoic. You know what I mean? And I told her, well, I didn't tell her, but we're kind of talking about it, and I was like, I bet you get more shit from girls than you do from guys, huh? She's like, yeah, I do. It's really hard. Like basically telling me it's really hard being around females, most of all having autism, because it's just like she really has to concentrate on putting on masks just to get along. And that's crazy to me, man. Like my daughter, Jesus Christ, like my daughter's gonna have a pretty rough time ahead of her in that aspect. And her and I do talk about that. And her and I talk about that. It's like, I tell her, it's like, look, when it comes to this shit with your students, not your students, but your classmates, it's like you're gonna learn. You've already started learning at a very early age on how to mask. How to put on a different persona for whoever you're talking to, whether you're talking to your grandma, you're talking to me, you're talking to your mom, you're talking to your teachers, talking to your classmates. You got all these masks that you put on, all these different personas that you put on just to get along. And I told her, it's like, whatever you do, like, don't resent that. Like, don't resent it, because if you start resenting it, you might dig deeper into something that you didn't want to get wrapped up in. You know what I mean? I think a lot of young guys get into this as well, especially when they start joining gangs and stuff. It's like they learn especially these young boys that grow up without fathers, right? They grow up without that stoic father figure, that stoic father in their lives. So they learn to put on this tough guy persona in order to just survive, whether it be on the streets or interpersonal relationships with their classmates, or let's say even their own culture. Like the Latino culture, for instance, where a lot of young Hispanic boys or Latino boys get caught up in the gangster shit because they start masking it at an early age, right? Like, and they just get caught up in that. That's what I mean by they start resenting this. I don't know how to explain it. Like, for me personally, like, I started resenting the fact that I had to put up walls and put up masks around people, around myself, just to please people. And once I started resenting that, I started getting into like more destructive behavior, like the gang member shit. Oh, this woman's naked for some reason. Holy shit! What the fuck, dude? What? Am I seeing things? There's a naked lady in the walking down the side of the road, like big old fat woman. What the fuck was that about? Holy shit. Anyway, goddamn. Oh my god. I've never seen that in my life. Anyway, so to get back to myself, it's like once I started resenting that mask that I had to put up, is when I started almost digging my heels into this other stupid shit, and thank God I got out of it, you know. I don't know, and just the girls just have it a whole lot harder because they have less tools at their disposal, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, I can use the father thing, or I can use the stoicism thing. Like, I have just being quiet and keeping to myself is something that guys can do, right? And girls can't really do that. They can't do that. They get shunned or made fun of way more than anybody else out of the sexes, you know. And guys get shunned for it too. But they can. The thing that the advantages of being a guy is that I can afford to be alone. Like, men are built to be loners, in my opinion, because they're built to be followers. And it's just the cold hard facts. And I think there's girls out there that can exhibit those kind of traits and be successful. You know what I mean? I think a woman can be a loner if they drop like the female shit, like this idea that I'm a female, right, or whatever, or they're a mother, or they're a girlfriend, or they're a daughter, or whatever. They just realize that they're like this spiritual being. I don't know. I think they'll have an easier time like coping with it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I kind of have a new feeling sorry for is not the right phrase, or not the right word. I don't feel sorry for females with autism, but I understand them a lot more just from that little 5-minute conversation I had with a coworker. It's like, wow, man, she really gave me a new perspective just now. It's like, dang, this is what my daughter's going through. What she's gonna go through. It's like, holy shit. I don't know do I need to call the cops on that? Do I need to call the authorities on that lady who's walking down the street naked? Holy shit, dude, that was crazy. Anyway, guys, I think I'm done. I was gonna say other things. I got super derailed by that naked lady I just saw. It wasn't even like it wasn't even pleasant to look at, unfortunately. That was crazy. What the fuck? I wish I was making that up. I honest to God wish I was making that up. All right, y'all. I'm home, so I'm gonna stop the recording. Have a nice night. Hey guys, just a quick disclaimer. When I say neurotypical in this next recording, I mean atypical, so just keep that in mind. Thanks. Hey guys, how's it going? Real quick, I got so many things I want to talk about. I got like 2 recordings, maybe 3 recordings I haven't even released yet. that I haven't got around to editing from like 2 months ago that I really need to upload because I think it's important. Real quick, one of the guys I work with, we have these little communication devices that we use, and I swear to God, every time I give him one, and he's the only person with this problem, like, I'll give it to him and it dies within like a few minutes of him putting it on and turning it on. And like, this is a consistent problem with this guy, and only with him. Maybe it happens every now and then, but with other people, but he's the one whose device always dies on him. And I'm like, what is something like, is it your aura? Is it electrical resonance? You know, everyone's on a different frequency, right? So what is it about that? Like, what is going on with him? But anyway, I just thought it was funny. It's just stupid. But I'm going to lunch right now. I'm gonna get some Taco Bell or something. Checking my Boomer drink, my Monster. Don't worry, guys. I'll edit out the slurping noises. Sheesh. Where do I begin? So I wanted to speak on. Oh my God. So I guess I'll talk about Matt's latest video. There's a lot of things getting brought up recently when it comes to, especially Matt's channel. Maybe not other channels, but mainly Matt's channel, where he's talking a whole lot about the reality, right? And I know it's basically what his, what a lot of his videos are about, the fake reality. And I talk about that too. I talk more about social aspects because I think that's part of the trick as well. To me, it's all linked together. This is why I always talk about relationships and this dynamic between men and women, mothers, fathers, children. Like, that's all interlinked. Like, to me, the blood relations, culture, race, etc. It's all part of the trick as well, the reality trick. That's why I talk about it, because no one else is talking about it, but me. You got other guys talking about that kind of stuff, like Jesse Peterson, for instance, but he's not going to present it the way I present it, which is more of along the lines of the metaphysical, like the esoteric nature of it, the hidden meanings, etc. So we talk about a lot about solipsism, right? And I believe our existence is a solipsistic existence. And Matt brought up the guy he's been corresponding with via email, Frank, I think his name is. So this guy Frank, and I don't know him, so I'm gonna have to talk about him like I know him or something. I really don't. But this guy Frank is kind of presenting this idea that I've been presenting for like the past 2 years, which is like I call it the void or the black mirror, which means like we're surrounded by the darkness, right? We're surrounded by a void, and it's our senses that kickstart the reality. And it's like almost like a symbiotic relationship between the reality, quote unquote, or the black mirror, and human beings, because you could think of us as the hardware, and the black mirror would be like the server. Man, this derailed for a second, but because I had to pick up my food. But this talking to an AI robot thing at the Taco Bell drive-thru is getting on my nerves. Also, real quick, so this play on words, I noticed a sticker on the window at the drive-thru that said, get it delivered through DoorDash or whatever. So Grubhub is one of the places you can get delivered food by, and I was thinking to myself, aren't grubs like little worms? So that the saying, like, let's go get some grub or whatever. I think grubs are worms, aren't they? So it's like, again, with the play on words, these the spells we cast, right? Anyway, maybe that's weird to bring up. So back to Matt's presentation, the Black Mirror thing, the void. We create the reality. It's a solipsistic existence, but our reality bubbles have to synchronize and match each other. And to me, anyway, whenever there's Mandela effects and all that, to me that's a desynchronization. Like, retrocausality. What was the other one? Mandela effects. Man, what's the other one? The predictive programming. To me, all of that, I've said this many times on my channel, but to me, that's all the same thing. Like, we're talking about the same thing. Mandela effects and synchronicity and retrocausality, these aren't separate things. This is all one thing, to me. This is all the solipsistic nature of this reality, and we have our reality bubbles that are, for the most part, synchronized. But the minute they get desynchronized is when we run into these issues with synchronization, and a lot of times it causes synchronicities. Like, for instance, talk about the Oscars for a goddamn minute. And I didn't watch the Oscars, okay? It's really weird on how I came about this Oscar thing with the stage looking like a Golden Scarab and all that. To me that was super obvious. The minute I saw the stage, I was like, holy shit, it's a Golden Scarab. I've talked about the cats and the tabby cats, the Egyptian Mao breed, and the red mackerel tabbies have an M on their forehead. But the M isn't really an M. The M is actually the bottom part of a larger design on their forehead, marking on their forehead. That's a golden scarab. It's a scarab, and that's what the Egyptians thought, and that's not why, but that's part of the reason why they were worshipped, because I think the golden scarab represents like the pineal gland and all that stuff. So the Oscars, their stage, and it was hosted by Conan O'Brien, right? And I used to be a fan of his back when I was like a teenager. Not anymore, because to me, all these guys, all these Hollywood creeps are just creeps. So it's like, they're a bunch of fucking assholes. And hosted by Conan O'Brien, and it's the Golden Scarab, and there's pyramid, there's a pyramid in there and everything. Obviously the pineal gland representation. And I don't know what this shit means to them, but I know what it means to me, because whatever's going on the outside is going on within, right? And vice versa, because I'm the reality generator being. I created that stage. All right? And by proxy, I'm involving y'all in it. My audience, my listeners, I'm bringing you into my reality. This is the metaphysical handshake that I speak on, where it's like, now that I brought it to your attention, you can't help but notice it. So I'm gonna put pictures up and everything. I made a community post about it, and I was like, holy shit, it's just fucking straight up golden scarab on the cat, It's amazing. So to me, that's not only it's synchronicity, but it's like, again, I created it, So to get back into Matt's presentation, I'll just read the comment. That'll be the easiest thing to do. The copyright thing. Matt was talking about how he got copyrighted twice in 1 week. That's crazy, man. Like, I can't believe that shit. I mean, I believe it, but at the same time, it's like, golly. Just going after people like me and you, or Matt McKinley or whoever, and it's like, we can't. Like, what is allowed exactly? Because he brings up a really good point. For instance, like the movie critics. There's one guy I just watched who was doing a commentary on Red Letter Media, basically criticizing the critics, which is really fucking cringe. I'd like to go over that because there's so many fallacies in that within the first 10 minutes, but I don't. This isn't a movie channel, fucking movie review channel, so I don't know. We'll see. But the guy, in his video, he has all these Star Wars clips, all these voice clips. It's like, how come people like that get to put whatever the fuck they want on their videos? But I put in fucking 5 seconds of a Wizard of Oz Dorothy line in the Tin Man and all that, and I get copyright struck. Like, it's fucking insane, dude. It's not even 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds of Wizard of Oz, and I get a copyright flag. It's ridiculous, dude. I don't know. This is why, and I left this in the comment. Like, this is mainly why I talk over a black screen, because what isn't copyrighted? Like, if I show my desktop, at home, There could be something, a thumbnail, like, or whatever the fuck icon on my desktop that they can flag for copyright. Like, when does it end? Like, people like me and you we're just not free. Like, we're not allowed to talk about anything. It's so ridiculous, y'all. Anyway, to get back to my, I'm just going to read my comment, okay? I 1000% agree with Frank. Individuals create reality, and the synchronization of the collective reality is through a metaphysical handshake. I think it's obvious to most of your viewers that the creeps are intended to create the reality they want, through us and through the normie/NPC. They try their damnedest to separate and conquer, keeping us in separate animal farms, as you've put it. These farms go beyond the conspiracy camps. Race, gender, cultural identity, all of these are camps designed to divide. Though I wonder if keeping us divided and separated may be for the better, so that we'll experience abandonment, putting the ego, with a capital E, through the ringer, so to speak. Jesus was here to divide, after all, to separate us from our families and neighbors so that we'll come back to God. We're all the prodigal sons and daughters, and we have to experience the ego death, and this separation we're experiencing accelerates the process. Maybe the creeps were the good guys after all. And that's what I wanted to touch on, this idea of maybe the creeps, like, we need an adversary, right? And I've talked about this before, so it's not a new idea, where it's like the creeps have their role to play, in a sense, where it's like they separate us from the ego, they separate us from being so introverted, right? By making the physical so in your face that you have to pay attention to it. So I know a lot of y'all, the people that are listening, y'all feel alone. You feel alone because you can't talk about these strange subjects really with anybody else but the people online, either through YouTube comments, or I don't know, maybe you're on a weird Reddit page or whatever the fuck, Discord server, and you feel like you're at home talking about these weird subjects with people, or you feel like you're free to speak on my channel in my comments section about whatever you want, regarding the reality. And it's like, I notice weird shit about the reality, and I can't talk about it with anybody. And it's the weirdest thing too. Recently, there's that lady I work with, who I spoke about. Actually, I did a recording a few days ago about her, so I'm probably going to upload that too. Damn. So, this girl, she's the one where I talked about, depending on when this releases, I spoke about her and I spoke about, it was the video with the poop soda, the poopy. It's pronounced poppy. I don't care, it looks like poopy. That's what the meaning. It's a prebiotic. So she's the one I had a conversation with about that, and she brought up Sodom and Gomorrah, and I was shocked by that. But her and I, when was it? Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night we worked together. And I don't know what sparked this, but she let it all out with me in terms of social problems, like her family issues, and like all that shit, like the metaphysics of the world, the reality, flat earth, round earth, like, oh my god, like her and I just got into these crazy conversations, and like I let it all out. I hadn't told her about the cat thing too much, because that's a little crazy, and I'm probably going to, because she seems to really get what I was saying about these metaphysical issues, these spiritual issues, especially with your blood relatives. And she told me not her whole story, right, but she gave me the gist of her story about how she grew up, the relationship with her and her father and her sisters and step siblings and all that mess, like being separated from her mother, and living with her father and still having separation because her father put another woman in between them. And that's the way I contextualized it for her. It's like, and as far as I can tell, she's already kind of forgiven her parents, because she had a satori from taking mushrooms. I'm not sure what kind of mushrooms she took. I don't know if it was ayahuasca or something else, but she through taking mushrooms, she had this spiritual experience where she realized that she wouldn't be where she was in the present if it wasn't for her crazy parents acting the way they did. And she realized this on her own. And she's like, introverted, very introverted, autistic kind of girl. She's really interesting to talk to when I can get her. And she's open to these subjects, okay? She seems like She seems like me, where it's like my brain is always on when it comes to this kind of stuff. So her and I get into all that, and it's like, I can't talk to anybody about this kind of stuff, okay? It's incredibly... Dude, I don't know what it is. It blows my mind that I even met somebody like that, especially at work, out of all places, because it's so unlikely. It's so unlikely. What is happening? Like, am I doing this? Did I create this? Like, this is what I mean, guys. It's like, I'm going through life. I've gone through my whole life like this introversion. I believe Carl Jung refers to it as intuitive introversion, where it's like, not only am I not very social, but I notice patterns. I'm a thinker, you know. I'm sure most of you are like this as well. I'm not saying I'm this unique person. A lot of people are like this, but they keep it to themselves. This is the way this girl is. She has to keep all this nuttiness to herself, because she can't talk about it with anybody. This is the thing about it. She's a female, and I've talked about this before in a previous recording that I'm going to release soon, where she's spent her whole life knowing that something's not normal, right? She's atypical. So it's like, she's not neurotypical, and she figured that out very, very early in her life, that she was an outcast, that she was the black sheep. So, in order to attempt to fit in, all right, this is where the problem stems as well. It's like, intuitive introverts. I think this is doubly so for women, as they're growing up, because they see the way normies act, right? So they start masking, and they start imitating that behavior, and they get into shenanigans. They either get into the sex or the drugs. In her case, it was the drugs. I think she'd be okay with me saying that, because I'm not saying her name or anything. I thought about sharing my channel with her. I'm not sure yet. I'm on the fence about that. But we'll see. So she got into all of that nonsense, you know. I don't know about her sexuality. I don't know if she was lesbian or anything. Her mother supposedly was lesbian, and how I feel about lesbian and gay and all that, I don't think shit like that really exists. To me, the lesbianism and the gay thing is just a coping mechanism, a masking mechanism. To me, that shit is just a fairy tale. It's non-existent. But anyway, that's just the way I feel. Y'all can disagree. I got my reasons for that, to think that. So, she spent her whole life growing up in this very, very separated family. Very introverted, very having to deal with her own thoughts, and unable to talk to anybody about it, you know, because nobody understands. I'm probably, aside from her partner, she calls him her partner, probably maybe the only person that understands, like really understands and really sympathizes, because I know what that feels like. And I think this happens to a lot of people, but I think it's double whammy for women, because they get really pressured to go along with the flow, to act like the normie NPC type, to go out on, you know, go to the bars, go drinking, blah, blah, blah. All the while, you really just want to keep to yourself, right? And I talked about this in the last recording, where it's like men have an easier time coping with that, because they can put up walls, and the walls I put up, I can disguise it as stoicism, or I can disguise it as fatherhood, or whatever. And nobody around me, my coworkers, etc., they don't have to know that I'm introverted. They don't have to know that I have these weird synchronicities. They don't have to know that I talk about cats, or I think cats are these metaphysical beings. And that's what I'm trying to get at, where it's like, I don't have to do, I just keep it to myself, and I can mask it as stoicism, you know, because it's not anyone's business. There's no reason for anyone to know about the synchronicities or any of that shit, or the spirituality, or how I think I'm my father, and all of that shit. And I told her all of this too as we're talking. It's like, and I'm really glad we had this conversation, because it's like, I understand girls, especially autistic, introverted girls, women, that they have it really hard. because they have that social outside pressure, the physical, right? The physical reality, social pressure, the not milk, pressuring them to act a certain way. And this is for all people, right? But I'm saying the females have it hard, like really hard. And I think it happens to a lot of young boys who, and I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm gonna go and say it again. Like, this happens to a lot of young boys that get into the gangster stuff, like being in gangs and all that. Like, they start masking, they learn to mask and put on personas at a very early age in order to hide these weird, crazy thoughts, right? The nutty, not necessarily the thoughts, but the the synchronicities and the noticing the patterns thing, the metaphysical, you know? And I think that's how shamans used to come about, and it's been a not milk push, you know, to kind of block that, to make sure there aren't any shamans in the world. Like, you either take the blue pill or suffer, you know? Just put it that way. I think it's the easiest way to put it. It's like, you either swallow the blue pill or you're going to be an outcast. It's rough, man. And to a degree, like, we all have to swallow the blue pill. Like, shit, that might be the title of this video. That, like, swallow the blue pill, man, because you have to function in this reality. Like, you can't go against the grain too much, because you have to survive, you know? And you got to learn to, like, embrace the ego, to have a healthy relationship with the ego. But don't let it take over. Just have a recognition it's the ego. Like, for instance, I can go in and out of the Latino thing, or the Hispanic, Mexican, whatever the fuck thing. It's like I can go into that at a drop of a hat, because that's a mask I put on, because it's funny. I think it's funny. I think fucking Mexicans are goofy as fuck. So it's like I'll play into it sometimes because it's hilarious. It's stupid, dude. It's supposed to be stupid. Race is dumb. Culture's dumb. It's meant to be laughed at. You're meant to have fun, dude. God damn. It's a little frustrating. So to get back to the ego death, and the not milk's role, it's like, I think, like, we're put into separate animal farms, right? With culture and race and all that on purpose. So we end up feeling like outcasts to society because we can't talk about these weird subjects. Like, for instance, I just can't go around talking about cats with people, even though I do sometimes just to fuck with them now. I just fuck with people now. I don't care. But it's like, for the most part, we got to keep it to ourselves. We can't talk about the reality. We can't talk about how reality's a void, and etc., etc. So we end up feeling isolated. And to me, it's on purpose, because, like I said in my comment, like, you're meant to be divided. You're meant to separate yourself from all of that on purpose. Like, you're supposed to experience the ego death while you're here. But it's the not milk's fault in a way, right? They're the scapegoat. So it's like, if it's the not milk's fault that you kill the ego, does it make them the bad guys? I mean, that's kind of my point. It's like, does that make them bad people or a bad entity? It's a necessary part, dude. Because if they weren't there, we wouldn't have a means to kill the ego. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think I'm making sense with that. I gotta wrap it up because I gotta get back to work. I had more I wanted to talk about, but I don't have time because I gotta get back to work. So real quick, I think that covers everything, guys. I'll probably make another recording. I got so much I want to talk about lately. Like I said, the conversation with that girl, I'm so glad. I can't believe it. Like, I'm so glad I had a talk with her about this introversion. Like, girls with autism and women who are intuitive introverts. I like have a newfound kind of sympathy for them, because just the social expectations, y'all, like the demon, the Lucifer approved way of acting, like the way the world expects you to act, is like, it hits females, it hits women really hard. I don't know, like a newfound appreciation or a newfound sympathy, right? I'm not saying, oh, I feel sorry for women. I'm still going to give women shit. Mothers, I'm still going to give mothers shit. Fuck them. Anyway, y'all. All right, check you later. Bye-bye.